Good morning, this is Kasturi De. I am continuing with the chapter, Motion chapter, according to ICSE syllabus class 7. I was continuing with the question answer section. The fifth question I'll continue with, the differentiate between the following questions, that is motion and rest. First difference is motion and rest. When an object does not have a steady position, then the object is said to be in motion. And in rest, in case of rest, when an object is in the same position, then the object is said to be at rest. Okay. Then second difference is an object is moving, then that is motion. And in case of rest, an object does not move. Then motion, when an object changes its position with respect to the surroundings. Whereas in rest, it does not change its position with respect to the surroundings. Okay. Then we come to the difference between translatory motion and circulatory motion. Okay. So now, translatory motion is motion by which a body shifts from one point to another along a straight line. That is translatory motion. And in circulatory motion, when a motion of an that is the motion of an object along the circumference of a circular path. That is circulatory motion. Then second difference is motion in which all points of the moving body move uniformly in the same line or direction. That is translatory motion. And circulatory motion, it can be uniform with constant speed or non-uniform with the changing rate of rotation. Okay. So here in circulatory motion, it can be uniform with constant speed. That is covering same distance in same interval of time, equal intervals of time. But it can be non-uniform also with the changing rate of rotation. Then example, motion of a bullet fired from a gun. That is an example of translatory motion. And circulatory motion is an artificial satellite orbiting the earth at a constant height. Okay. That is the example of circulatory motion. Now we come to the difference between periodic and non-periodic motion. A motion that repeats after regular intervals of time. That is periodic, and non-periodic is a motion that does not repeat itself after regular intervals of time. An example of periodic motion is the earth moves around the sun in every 365 days. And non-periodic motion, a ball rolling down the ground gradually slows down and finally stops. So it is not covering equal distances in equal intervals of time. Therefore, and it's not in a fixed time. It's not in a fixed interval of time. So the motion is non-periodic motion. Then the difference between mass and weight. Okay. The amount of matter contained in an object, that is mass, and force with which a body is attracted by the earth towards its center is the weight. Now, mass is constant and does not change with place and position of the body, whereas weight depends on the force of gravity and thus it changes from place to place. Mass can never be zero, whereas weight can be zero if no force of gravity acts on the body. If there is no acceleration due to gravity, then if it is zero, the acceleration due to gravity is zero, then the mass the weight becomes zero, because weight is equal to mass into acceleration. Then mass is SI unit in kg. SI units of mass is kg, whereas in weight, SI unit of weight is Newton. Then mass is measured by simple beam balance or a physical balance, whereas weight is measured by a spring balance. Then we come to some short and long question answers. Now, what does the type of motion depend upon? The type of motion depends upon the distance covered by that object and time taken to cover the distance. So the type of motion that depends on the distance covered by the object, how much the object is covering the distance, and how much time is taken to cover that distance. That is the things which the type of motion depend upon. Then state two things on which weight depends on. Weight depends on mass of the body and the gravitational force acting on it. Then why do we say that rest and motion are the relative terms? First, an object can be in motion relative to one set of objects, while at rest relative to the same other set of objects, some other set of objects. Okay, so it can be in motion relative to one set of objects with respect to one set of objects, while at rest it can be at rest in relation to or in respect to some other set of objects. Therefore, rest and motion are relative. For example, suppose you are sitting in a room. You are at rest in relation to all the other stationary objects inside the room. All the stationary objects which are inside the room, they are observing you as you are sitting in the room. You are not changing your position. Therefore, you are at rest. But the room is on the earth, and the earth itself is not at rest. It is continuously moving. It revolves around the sun. So it takes 1 year to complete one revolution around the sun, that we know. Therefore, you are also revolving around with the earth around the sun. So in relation to the sun, you are in motion. Okay. So these two are relative terms. Then why is motion of a pendulum said to be a periodic motion? Because it repeats itself after a regular interval of time. Now, why the weight of a given object different for different planets? Because weight depends on mass of the object and acceleration due to gravity on a planet. This acceleration due to gravity is different on different planets. So, the weight of the given object will, whatever be the weight in the earth, that will become something different if it is taken to some other planet or any other heavenly body. Because the gravitational force will change there. Gravitational force will change in some other planet also. So that's why the weight will change, but the mass will not change. A body is moving in a curved path. Okay. Can it have a constant speed with a varying velocity? Yes. Because when a body is moving in a curved path, it can cover equal distances in equal intervals of time. It's covering equal distances in equal intervals of time. But its direction is keeps on changing. So it has a constant speed, but the velocity is changing. So it has varying velocity. Then the net displacement of the body is in a circular motion is 0. If it returns back to its initial position justifying. See, the displacement we know is the shortest distance covered by a body between its initial and the final positions. If the body is moving in a circular path and returns back to its initial position from where it has started, so there will be no short distance, but no shortest distance. But the total distance is there. It has covered the whole circumference of the circular path. But there will be no shortest distance because it has returned to its initial position. It's the position where it has started. So the shortest distance will be 0. Therefore, the displacement will be 0. Okay. Then an aeroplane takes off from a runway by covering a distance of 1200 meters. Okay. In 90 seconds. What is average speed of the aeroplane? Average speed we know the total distance by total time taken. So 1200 by 90, that will be equal to 13.33 meter per second. Now how can we say that Rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion are kinds of translatory motion. Translatory motion of an object means that every part of the object moves through the same distance in the same interval of time. Equal distance in equal intervals of time, right? That in a straight line, in a line, that is translatory motion. Now in rectilinear motion, what happens? The object moving along a straight line where it covers same distances in same intervals of time. That is, example, a car moving on a straight road. Therefore, it is moving in a line and covering same distance in same intervals of time. So, this is a translatory motion. Again, in curvilinear motion, what happens? The object moving on a curved path in such a way that it covers same distance in same interval of time. Okay, in a line, that is, it's in a circular motion. So, circular path it is. So, here also, this is also a translatory motion, like the earth moving around the sun. Okay. Next, the speed and velocity have the same units, yet they are in different physical quantities. Why? It's so because both speed and velocity means the distance traveled by an object in unit time. Okay. In unit time, how much distance is covered is known as speed or velocity. But only difference between speed and velocity is that in velocity, the direction is mentioned. In particular direction is to be mentioned for velocity. But as they are covering the distances in unit time, so they have the same units. But I told you that velocity refers to the direction in which the object. So in velocity gives both magnitude and direction, whereas speed gives only the magnitude. So they are different quantities but have the same unit because the magnitude is the same. Okay. So I stop here. I'll continue with the rest of the questions in my next video. Please go through this, and if you have any doubt, please do write in the comment box. And if you like the video, please do press the like button. And if you are a new viewer to my channel, please do subscribe so that you can get the notification of my next video. Thank you.